So this week we looked over the resources of argument. And so the first question we'd ask would be, what is an argument? Well, an argument is something that makes a claim and then provides a justification or reason in support of that claim. And so two elements of argument that this chapter went over is claims and reasons slash justifications. So a claim, also known as a conclusion, is an assertion. So the shape or character of an argument is determined by the kind of claims it makes or the conclusion that it draws. Some examples of claims that you could say would include, that is a dog, that is a cat, you are in good health, you are in bad health, smoking causes lung cancer. An argument usually makes a leap from data to a claim, and so this makes it a fundamental building block in rhetorical action, and this is also what gives an argument its force, and it's also what makes arguments a little bit risky and open to challenge. A reason, the other element of argument, is an authorization for that leap made in an argument. In other words, reasons are grounds or bases for drawing the conclusions, and they are justifications for claims. Also talked about in this chapter is are issues, and so there may also be an issue in the argument, and an issue is basically just a fundamental point in dispute, a question critical in making a decision, choosing a stance, or selecting a course of action. Most issues fall roughly into three types: question of fact, of value, and of policy. And issues distinguish all kinds of arguments and reveal the resources for each. So, a question of fact, that's a dispute about what evidence exists and how it should be interpreted. So, some examples they listed of issues about capital punishment, for example, are really questions of fact. So like, does capital punishment deter others from committing murder? So what evidence of deterrence exists? What is reliable evidence of deterrence and how it can be gathered? Are a disproportionate number of poor non-whites executed? And does the ethnicity of the victim affect such sentencing? And so you can ask yourself, what proportion of capital crimes are committed by poor non-whites? What kind of data exists about the socioeconomic status and race of executed persons? Are there any data to show that those who kill whites rather than non-whites are more likely to be executed? And there's a lot more. So when you address the question of fact, the issues focus more on the quality, accuracy, and the evidence. And so, in contrast, a question of value, it's a dispute about what is good, desirable, useful, or even what is ethical or moral. And so, questions of value can reflect more fundamental disagreements than questions of facts. Some of the issues about capital punishment they talked about in this chapter were, should we avenge premeditated murder or obey absolutely the biblical injunction against killing? What are the ethical implications of killing by the state? Is our goal to rehabilitate those who commit crimes or to protect society from murders? And these issues reflect fundamental, often deeply held commitments, and no single rhetorical act is likely to change them. The last one, a question of policy, it's something that always involves a course of action, what we should do or not do. And so the issues and questions of policy are so universal that they are known as involving stock issues. They are commonplace, so they're always in stock. And each of these stock issues in a policy dispute combines questions of fact and questions of value. So a policy is a way of doing something, and it's a systematic way of dealing with a particular kind of situation or event. And so the other reading, the additional essays we had to read this week were focused on music and how popular music reflects and expresses our identity. In Hollander's essay, Elevate My Mind, Identities for Women in Hip Hop Love Songs, she goes over feminine identity and gender relationships in hip hop and contemporary rhythm and blues. In Wilkinson's essay, Country Music, Openness to Experience, and the Psychology of Culture War, he analyzes the connections between personality, political ideology, and country music. In Anderson's essay, Seduced by Perfect Pitch, How Autotune Conquered Pop Music, he discusses and reflects on one of the most commonly used pieces of musical technology, the audio processing device Autotune. And in Vasquez's essay, Rifts of Passage, she mixes personal narrative and cultural analysis to create a revealing portrait of a Latino musical subculture in LA. And so all of these essays went over a variety of different arguments related to music, from females in hip hop to autotune in the music industry. And they all stated a really clear claim with reasons and justifications.